So I wanted to take this opportunity before I get into really my main message, which is about youth and our concern about them, to point out that, and I'll read this, and you're welcome to have copies of it afterwards, that while Angela Merkel attends a conference on climate change in Halifax after her meeting with the Prime Minister on the implications for the oceans and the Arctic, our science-phobic Prime Minister has done the following things. He's eliminated the position of National Science Advisor. He did that a number of years ago. He muzzles federal scientists. He has eliminated scientist positions in various government departments in the recent and ongoing government public service cuts. He has closed Canada's northernmost Eureka science outpost. He has gotten rid of the compulsory long-form census, which is a critical tool for social policy in this country and other policy. He sits by while Canada continues to export asbestos and has refused to put asbestos on the Rotterdam list of dangerous substances. He ignores continually crime statistics, which overall have been diminishing for the past 3 decades. He moves federal science away from basic or fundamental research because of its no apparent commercial value. He hasn't told us whether he really believes that human activity is contributing to climate change. I'd like to hear that from him and global warming, and whether he actually believes in global warming. Meanwhile, he gets rid of the roundtable on the environment and the economy, arguing that it's no longer required. And finally, at the same time, while he establishes a panel of the National Energy Board to hold hearings on the Northern Gateway pipeline and argues that it will be science-driven, that was a bit of a shocker to hear. There is nobody on the panel who would be regarded as an environmental scientist on this National Energy Board. So just a few things to point out the difference between one leader who, yes, has a background in scientific research, but who actually, more importantly, recognizes that science is extremely important as part of government today. So here we have young people who are one day going to go into the workforce, and I have 2 young children myself, one in grade 10 and one in grade 7, who will soon be entering that workforce with an unemployment rate of 14% among young Canadians, almost twice the average, knowing that they will have to support a huge number of retiring Canadians so that those Canadians can live with the services that government provides. It's a daunting task that they will be facing, and I'm very conscious of it. And secondly, I want to also mention the young people, to the extent that they are interested in politics, probably the most compelling issue for them is the environment. Not surprising. They will be inheriting the results of our inaction. If we do not collectively and as a country do sufficiently with respect to the environment, they're going to have to live with the consequences. And it is an issue that animates young people. So those are 2 issues that are extremely important, and the government is not doing enough in either of those areas. There are things that the federal government can do to try to get our young people off to a good start, and that they can do to help to encourage their integration into the workforce. And certainly, there are things that they can do from a leadership perspective on the environment to show these young people that, yes, the current generation is taking its responsibilities seriously, so that we do our bit to try to mitigate the long-term effects of environmental change. So the government has been completely derelict with respect to those things. The other thing, and I'll just very briefly touch on it, is the fact that I have a private member's bill that asks the government to create a national commissioner for children and young people. This comes out of the fact that in 1991, Canada ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children. Incidentally, around about the same time, the government and all other parties, this was an all-party unanimous motion, said that we would get rid of child poverty by 2000. We haven't done either of it, and I'm not blaming anybody. I think we've all sort of failed in that respect. But the need for a children's commissioner and young people's commissioner is still very much something that is important for Canada. And it's important because the federal government has responsibility for children. I'm just talking up until 18 years old. We have, as a federal government, direct responsibility for Aboriginal children. And, of course, there are many federal laws touching on children, whether it's divorce laws and the effect on children, whether it's criminal justice for juveniles, which, again, touches on children. And that large population, again, which is our future, I think would benefit from having a national commissioner who would oversee how well we are not only living up to our obligations under the Convention of the Rights of Children, but how well we are dealing with issues that touch on children, which is, let's say it, the future of this country.